So to actually show you how to navigate the North Carolina Secretary of State site, you want to first go to your browser and type in, and mine is going to auto-populate because I've been typing it in for a while. It's going to be sosnc.gov. And as you can see, it's automatically populating. So you're going to go to, again, SOS for Secretary of State, NC for North Carolina.gov/divisions notary. Now, when you first go to the site, let me just go to the .gov so you can actually know how to get to it from their home screen. So here you will see our Secretary of State, Elaine Marshall. You all should know who she is. And if you don't, I will highly recommend that you go back to your North Carolina Notary Manual 2016, and she has a message to all of us. So please do know who our Secretary of State is. When you want to get to our division for notaries, you can go here where it says divisions, or you can scroll down here and you will see the different divisions here. Notary, become a notary, renew your appointment, register as a notary, confirm a notary. So here, click on your notary option. If you want to find a notary near you, you can put in your address and zip code, and then you can do a search near the address, and any other notaries that's in your area will populate. If you want to, again, search near yourself, you can actually have it where the maps is able to identify you through your computer as far as where you're located to actually find a notary near you that way. And this is something that the public needs to know, how to, again, look up active notary by going to the Secretary of State site directly. This is something, again, is very helpful for the public when they're wanting to find someone that is an actual notary in North Carolina. So when it comes to browsing the different things that we have access to, you have confirmed notary status. So if you're wanting to see if the Secretary of State has your information in the system, as they should, then you can click here and put in your commission name. Now, it's a difference between how you may have your name on like your driver's license, how you may write your name, versus how you are commissioned. Your commission name is the name you put on your application that was approved, as well that is on the certificate that you received from the Registry of Deeds office. Many of you may not be very fully aware of what the difference is. So when you came into this group, if you're coming from the Confident Notaries of North Carolina Facebook group, that is question, what is your commission name? Because I go into this system to make sure I have an active status on you, so you can actually join the group, because our goal is to make sure we have a safe space for all notaries that are a part of this group. So this is important. When it comes to updating your notary information, you will go here, and this is if you have moved, if you have a different phone number, email address that you want the Secretary of State to actually be able to contact you. This is where you will actually update the information. To become a notary, if you know someone that wants to get more information on what is required to become a notary, you can tell them where to go when it comes to this selection here. Renewing your notary commission, we have up to 10 weeks before our commission end date. So this is what you want to make sure. 10 weeks is plenty of time to go and actually take your exam, now that you're a notary, to actually pass. Again, the requirements the same. You have to have an 80% or greater so that you can actually get your recommissioning. And what happened once you actually pass the exam, you have an application that you can download and print out. That is the same application, similar to your first one. The difference is you will have a space where you will now actually stamp your notarial seal. This is the only time that you're not notarizing a document that it is approved and allowed. Otherwise, it's considered a violation of the law if you was just to stamp any document that's not a notarial certificate. So it's important for you to understand that that is part of the application at the very top, for you to actually stamp with your circular notarial stamp or your rectangular one, whichever one you have, or if you have one that is the impression You can use your embosser and impress upon in that space, but you always got to be in front of another notary, be sworn in an oath or say your affirmation for them to actually make sure you are, they can witness your signature before you mail it off of $50 to the Secretary of State office. That should be a money order or a check, never cash, when you're actually sending payment to the Secretary of State's office. Or you could be online and you can actually pay by credit card or debit. All right. So that's the other way that you can pay for the application. They will have the information online that you made a payment, and they're just waiting for the physical signed document to also come so they can look that information up to say, okay, I've collected funds from this notary. Let me go ahead and do a background screening to make sure they're still good. And then send us the email showing that we have an appointment letter to now go to the Registrar of Deeds office to be sworn into office for our next term. So again, if you do it within the 10 weeks, as early as possible, you will be in a good time frame without having to worry about having your commission expire when you can't actively notarize anything. So again, that's a rule of thumb. Do this for me. Write a note to yourself on your calendar as a notification when your expiration is due. It could be 5 years, 4 years, it could be 2 or 1. You just want to make sure that you have something that's going to be able to remind you that it's coming, and you want to be proactive so you can stay within that time frame. For an electronic notary, this is information if you're wanting to become an e-notary, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do here. Now, when it comes to having your e-notary commission versus your regular notary, you don't have that option as an exam. You always have to go through the school, all right? Community college, you can do an online class or an in-person, but that's the requirement as of right now, that you don't have the option to do a actual another exam every time that you want to actually renew your electronic notary commission. So that is one of the things that is different when it comes to it being a recommissioning. And I know that effectively January the 1st, those of you that want to become an electronic notary, you are not now having to do what we used to do. And that means you don't have to now go to the secretary, or excuse me, you don't have to go to a Registrar of Deeds office to be sworn in. This is an additional training that is considered a part of our commission, because you only get commissioned once. This is just an additional training when it comes to the electronic notary ability to notarize electronically. So this is something that Ozzie Stallworth did announce when we were at the e-mortgage conference last year. So this is a great opportunity, not having to worry about going through all of those additional steps, but you still do have to pay another $50 application fee. All right. So they still want you to pay that each time you are getting commissioned or adding the training to what you already have as a commission. When it comes to notary, e-notary, and e-commerce resources, this is where we find our loose certificates, and this is what we're going to focus on a lot tonight. And again, you can look through all these other options when it comes to just seeing exactly what's here. Notary sale vendors and manufacturers. This is going to be new when it comes to the rule is now that when we order a seal or our stamp, it's going to have to be based on a vendor approved by the Secretary of State. So we can no longer go to Amazon and get a lot of our stamps there, because a lot of people are using that avenue to get stamps that's not a notary, and has been a lot of fraudulent things going on when it comes to notarizing documents. So again, this is something that you want to actually view to kind of get some insight on. Technology providers, this is new. Again, once they have the providers ready for us to see, this will be available for us to actually navigate and see what vendors we can actually sign up with and create an account to be able to use their platform for it to do in-person electronic notarization. And when RENA is something that we can actually fully work through, they should have that list of providers as well. enforcement and complaints. If you have an issue with something that has happened with another notary, you can actually take that information here. Notary instructor access. If you were an instructor, this is their space only. Okay, so anytime they're trying to submit information for students for their grades, they actually go through this method to report that information to the Secretary of State, so they know who has actually went through that particular class and have passed it, so they can be accounted for when the notary themselves submit their application. Frequently asked questions, a lot of FAQs. This is something that you want to go to maybe answer some questions that you have where you don't have to worry about, okay, I don't know where to go. This could actually be a place where you can find exactly what is needed to answer those questions. Register of Deeds access. Again, it says Register of Deeds. So those notaries that work within Register of Deeds office can access information here. And then you have the e-mortgage and e-closing. This is a updated this is an updated tab where when it comes to their upcoming conferences, we'll probably be able to go here to get more information on location, tickets, hotel stay, all of those things in this area. Forms. This you would think would be our loose certificates, but that's not what this is. So if you go here, let me just go ahead and click here so you can actually see. This only gives you the applications for us to actually go through our recommissioning. And then if you have to do a certificate of moral character, if you've had some discipline issues as a notary and your notary commission needs to be reinstated, you will have to download this form here to get that filled out and notarized. Update your notary information online. This will take you to exactly where another shortcut will take you to if you're wanting to update your information for, again, your phone number, address, email address, those things. Let me go back. I went too far. And then order E-Notary manual for those that may be taking the electronic notary class. If you want to get the manual for yourself to have before class, you can go here to request it. There is a number that you will have to put in, or a code that you would get from that particular class that you paid for, and that's the only way you have access to it. Notary newsletter archives. For all of the newsletters that the Secretary of State has ever sent us, you will be able to see the entire library through this icon. And I would encourage you guys to go through this, download those, and have it as study material. It's always great to just have information that you have readily available on your own personal computer. And this is how you can actually do that. Notary statutes. When it comes to our general statutes, you will be able to find all that information here. And then when it comes to notary rules, this again is with the administrative code, you'll be able to find that information there. The remote electronic notarization rulemaking, this would tell you exactly where we're at now when it comes to information that they're giving us to help us know exactly what's happening with RENA. So when you're actually going through these different options, this helps you again know exactly what's what. Now, this is the one I was talking to you earlier, Notary, E-Notary, and e-commerce resources. When you click here, you can then order your manual. Now there's a new manual coming sometime this year. We're hoping it's going to be sometime this first quarter, but they will keep us up to date on the status, but it is coming. This is going to be a combination of all three things that we are now aware of. So you will have exactly what a person would need, or us as a notary would need to know the laws as being a notary, everything that's in our current manuscript. And then they're going to add a section for the electronic notary. Instead of you having a separate book, it's going to be inclusive. So then you're going to have a third section that goes over the remote, the remote electronic notarization, and everything that they have covered that will be covered also in the electronic notary classes. So it's a combination for those moving forward that you will get everything for the e-notary section when you go through that class. And for those that are already electronic notaries, you will have what we call a bridge class that they're going to actually have online that's going to be free to us to actually go to get up-to-date information on how that works when we want to do the remote. So again, this is going to be very helpful. You have all these downloads, and I encourage you to go through and download all of these because you never know when you might need it. For any of your customers that need to get a loose certificate because they may have a document that does not have the wording for a notarial certificate, but they want us to notarize the document. In order for us to do that, we would then have to have them choose from the selection of printed documents that we have on us. All right. Now, the ones that are used most of all is going to be your loose certificate for your acknowledgement, and then your loose certificate for your oath or affirmation here. When a situation calls for a verification of proof for a subscribing witness, you'll be able to have, again, that document, or a non-subscribing witness situation here. But these are the library, I call it, for all of our notarial certificates that can help you in your journey when it comes to what we should always have in our toolkit when we're working with a customer, because we, again, never know what might be necessary during the time that we're trying to assist someone. And instead of you having to handwrite everything dealing with a notary certificate, you can do the loose certificate. However, there are stamps that you can get customized that you can actually make sure the wording is there. So when you're wanting to have, if they choose, your customer chooses an acknowledgement as a certificate, instead of you writing exactly what's in our manual, because that would be the point of reference if you're needing to manually write anything for a notarial certificate, you can, again, have that stamp that you can stamp where there's space available on the document, where now you can actually have it on one page. That helps make sure that there's no issues if someone chooses to actually, or if it mistakenly rips off the document and now they're trying to put it with another document. The goal is to make sure people are honest when you're working with them. Let me just share this here. So on this, on all of the documents that come from the Secretary of State, you will have this gray bar. This gray box will allow you to make sure you're saying exactly what this document, this loose certificate, has been attached to the best of your ability. If the document is going to has a title on it, then you'll put it here, title and top of document, signed by, you will put the principal signer's name there, and then the date, which would be today's date, and how many pages. You're not going to include this page when you're actually counting the numbers to put here. It's asking you how many pages is it attached to. So another thing you want to add to your toolkit is a stapler and a staple remover, because we are responsible for stapling this document to the document that is going to be attached to. So we're responsible for making sure we do that, not the customer, because this is part of the responsibility when we're handling loose certificates. So this is, again, a rule of thumb that you want to remember is get a little small stapler that you can take in your toolkit so everything can be together when you're actually ready to arm yourself to help the public. And again, this is where you'll find all of those documents. Now, you heard of and you know about the, let me find something here. I'm hoping it's still here. All right, so you have the electronic notary resources. Again, you can actually go through this list of information to gain more insight. And these are documents, again, that's downloadable. So go ahead and download every single document, because this can be part of your study guide as well when it comes to a lot of the information that these documents have on it. Just in case you may decide to do other things along your notarial journey, you can actually, again, have some insight on other documents that can, again, help you along the way for any questions you may have. The one thing I do want to make sure I do highlight is for those that come across questions about estate planning documents, when a person wants to do their living will, and there's a space for that too. It's not here under notary. So you're going to go back to your divisions. And here where it says advanced healthcare, you will find those documents there. And so can the public. So you can always act or tell the public where they can actually find these documents, because it can help them when someone really needs something that is North Carolina regulated. All right. So this is not advice given to them. This is you telling them where they can find something that is North Carolina designated. So when they go here, they can do a lookup. If they have a healthcare directive card that's already filed, they can actually put in that file number and their password, and they'll be able to look it up if they already have one that's filed. Now, if it's not filed yet and they just need this document, you can take them to, or they'll go to the download forms, and it will actually give them the options for the advanced healthcare brochure, which is very helpful information on how to complete or what to prepare for when it comes to that particular document. You will oftentimes hear someone needs a healthcare power of attorney. Again, this is regulated by the state of North Carolina. This is the best place for them to get that if they're not working with an attorney directly. This is how they can save themselves money if they go to the Secretary of State site instead. If they need an advance directive for a natural death, aka living will, it's here. If they need an advance directive for mental health treatment, again, this is another place where they find it. If they have an organ tissue donor card, they can find it here. Now, if you want to be really kind of sophisticated, if you have a website, you have the ability to actually have a section on your site that can actually point straight here. This is how you can help the public from your website on how they can get to certain forms when they don't even meet you. And you can say, well, if you want to get the advanced healthcare directives, that's on my website, and you can give them your website. Now they're getting a little bit more information about who you are. You're winning authority because you're setting yourself up for success when you do this. So you can have an advanced healthcare directives tab on your website, and the link can come straight here. So this is another way. Again, when it comes to marketing, I'm big on that. I want you to know how you can be very strategic when it comes to how you're bringing value to your customers in such a small way that is a big deal for them. So this is a good way of you actually making yourself, again, very valuable beyond just being able to notarize for them. Once they now get that document printed and they complete it and not sign it until they are before a notary, you can now tell them once they're ready to have that document notarized, please let you know what time and date you want to set up with them, so you can be the notary that actually notarizes the forms for them. So this is a good way of, again, being able to help people beyond just notarizing a document alone. All right. So we're going to bring everything back to the forum, and let me know if you guys have any questions, if you have found any value since we've actually met tonight on this topic of how to navigate the Secretary of State website. No comments, no questions. Okay.
I did, Belinda. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Tanisha. Okay, use your raised hands so that way we can make sure I don't miss anyone, and we can all make sure we're able to be accounted for. Tanisha.
I was looking on the site maybe 3 or 4 days ago for a true copy certificate, and I couldn't find one. So I had one previously and was needing to make more copies, and I'm like, I don't see it on here, so I didn't know how I got that one that I had.
Okay, so I know if I put in true copy and I do a search, it would take me to the actual PDF portion of it for the Secretary of State, let me see, because it may be under something else. And I know Ms. Vicky, she's really good when it comes to helping someone get to that form directly. But just like you said, you want to know how to navigate through the Secretary of State site to get it. So let me see if I can actually find where it's, because it's not visible. It's almost like it's hidden somehow. And so I already have mine downloaded. So I don't have to really go through the same provisions. But for your point, and I know I can help others when I can actually discover it. Let me see if I can actually locate it. Miss Reese, I'm gonna get to you, but Miss Vicky, if you can actually share where you actually found it, if you're able to share that, that would be great, because I'm still trying to look for it on the actual site.
Belinda, it's under authentication forms.
Okay, so I went there. Let me see. Because I see the cover letters only for the authentication.
Go down to the bottom where it
never
says
mind.
sample documents. Keep going.
I got to that. Yes. So let me go ahead and share my screen again to you guys so you can see it. Let's see. Here we go. So going back to was it under advanced directives? Let me see if I was there. No, it's under authentications. So this is the other divisions you want to actually know about. If you go through authentications, this is if someone is dealing with a Hague or non-Hague country and have documents that needs to be notarized to be authenticated or apostilled overseas, I should say, or out of the country. This is where that department would be found here online. And so with the, did I do something? Wait a minute, I messed myself up. Hold on. So this is the place you go for that, but
excuse me, Belinda, I can't see your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just talking.
Okay,
and
thank you.
I forgot to say share. You're welcome. All right, so when you go through authentications, under cover letters, and that's also known as the forms, you will be able to go straight to the forms there. If you go to the bottom where it says sample documents, and thank you, Miss Vicky, and thank you, Dave, you go to this plus sign here, and now you have where you have the additional documents everyone should have access to afterwards, which is your affidavits. Your true copy is found right here. So this is another document that you can go ahead and download and print up to like 10, just so you can always have them on your person. And then they do have some repetitive ones, oath and information PDF. Then you have the witness statement. This is used for specific reasons. So again, when it comes to how this is utilized, you can always find the documents that you're needing that is, again, on the Secretary of State site. Who is next? Ms. Vicky, then George, and then Ms. and Dave.
Belinda, please click on the true copy affidavit, please.
All right.
As you brought this attention, if you order one from Amazon, it is missing that last sentence that says, and this copy contains no alterations from the original. So do not order one from Amazon because it's missing that last sentence.
Thank you for that.
That recently.
And so this is what you guys can do when you're wanting to create a custom stamp for the true copy, for the acknowledgement, for the oath or affirmation. You can do a screenshot of this entire thing, and you can send it to the Staples, the Office Depot, or even Amazon when it comes to custom stamps, so that there's nothing missing when they're doing this. You want to have the word true copy, so you want to have this entire portion in your image that you're sending to them to actually reproduce. That way you can make sure that you have exactly what is authorized from the Secretary of State, and you don't miss anything when you actually have them printed. So this is another helpful tool that I have when it comes to the acknowledgement stamp as well as the jurat stamp. And the true copy is the one that I have to add because I don't have that particular stamp, but you can definitely make sure you have all of this in the request for a custom stamp to be made for you. Thank you for that, Ms. Vicky. George, you're next.
Yes, Belinda. Can you go back to where, like, I missed that? I missed it because I was writing some notes down here. How did you get to that part again?
To true copy?
Yes, like back up one more step before you get to that part.
Okay. All right. So if you're on the authentication portion, you can go to cover, letter, and templates.
Okay.
And then
you said go. So I'm at, okay, authentications. Okay, I see it right here. It's a little different on. Okay, I'm there.
So if you go, there's the forms too. So if you go to forms home.
Okay, I'm in authentications.
Okay. And so this will lead you straight to the forms for cover letters.
Okay.
And when you scroll down to the end of the last cover letter, you go to the sample documents, which is where the true copy is found, as well as an affidavit.
Okay, this is weird. Okay, go into cover letters and templates. And then when I go to cover letters and templates, it doesn't, unless I didn't click on the right thing, but I'm in the same thing that says cover letter, but on mine, it says cover letter English, and then you scroll down. Okay, I'm following along
And
with you.
do you see sample documents?
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Oh. And
Thank
again,
you.
it's not like right in your face. So when they did their updates, they have moved quite a few different things. And again, like I was troubled with, like, okay, where did they put it? Again, Miss Vicky does a lot of assistance with those that are doing estate planning documents. And as far as needing a true copy is only required and needed when someone is wanting to confirm that their birth certificate, their driver's license, their their driver's license or their passport or their birth certificate is the original. So they themselves have to be under oath, or you have to administer the oath or affirmation in lieu of oath when they sign this document to say that they're saying this is a true copy. Well, it's not for us to witness that because we cannot do that. That's a vital record, and only the Register of Deeds office can actually be the ones who can state or certify a true copy. In that regard, we can only notarize a true copy affidavit when it comes to them making a statement that this is their statement of it being true. So that's why they have to be in their oath, because if they're lying, they're perjuring themselves. It carries the same way as if they were in court. All right. So this is how we'll go about making sure we're covering ourselves by, again, administering the oath or affirmation. Many of our notaries are missing that vital piece. You must always give them a sworn oath or affirmation when it comes to the word being sworn in your certificate, because that's the only way we can make sure we're covering ourselves and completing that particular notarial act. And if you miss that, then it's void. And now you put yourself in jeopardy of, again, now being suspended or having your commission revoked. So this is important for you to always make sure you're following through when it comes to administering the oath or the affirmation. Every single time it's required. All right. Dave, did you have a statement? I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone.
I have two questions. The first one is, in the certificate for an affidavit, it's a jurat, but the certificate for true copy, which you just referred to as a true copy affidavit, is an acknowledgement, not a jurat. Is that a mistake?
With the way the Secretary of State has it written, it does say certified, it doesn't say sworn. So with that being said, I might need to ask Ozzy if that's something that they might need to update, because from my understanding, it should be a jurat.
And
So good catch.
Can you put up the certificate for an acknowledgement, please?
Okay, let me get to that for you. Is this helping anyone else out here in the audience? Let me know. Okay, the acknowledgement. We go right here. All right, here's the acknowledgement.
There we go. That language at the bottom in the blue box that's marked optional, I don't remember the section of the statute or code, but isn't that now mandatory?
There's a lot of updates that we will have in our new manual. And to my knowledge, it will be required from what I think I remember Ozzy sharing. So that is something, yeah, they will probably update this prior to us getting the manual if it's going to be mandatory. And they probably will have that now removed as mandatory, or something showing us that it has to be completed, which I feel should have been from the beginning, because a lot of notaries, if they feel that they don't have to do something, many of them are not doing it. Just like having a notary journal. It's not a requirement, but it is best practice to record all of your transactions, because our memory, if you're doing a lot of notarizations, I personally know I can't recall every notarization I've done. So I would not put that on anyone. And I like to record every single thing I've done. This is a practice that you all should actually have, because again, if you have to go to court, we as a notary public, when it comes to our word, again, we stand for integrity, honesty, and trustworthiness. If we don't have something to refer to, what does that look like? Especially when we have to vouch for what we did, where we were, when we're working with an individual. If there is a question about if they actually notarized a document, they signed this document before us, if we do not have any record that we can refer to, that is not a good look. And then to me, it would not be a good feel either when I'm in court and the judge is waiting for my testimony to say for a fact that is the person that I actually seen before me, or anyone similar. So you want to make sure you're protecting the public by recording what has taken place, as well as getting their signature, because that's the only proof that you really have someone was right there before you, because that signature belongs to someone, not you, that's in your book. It's that serious, and it can help so many people if you actually start practicing that on a regular basis, to make sure you do have everything recorded in your journal. All right. And your journal should be a bounded book, not one that's spiral bound, because that can be torn very easily. Binded means that it takes a little bit more to get it out of the book, to rip it out. So we want to make sure we're securing everything when it comes to what we can protect that should be in our possession. Any other questions or statements? No questions? Any comments? Don't be shy.
I have
Yes,
a question.
Dave.
Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
right, we're going to do okay, raise your hand for me so that way I can see you next
I'm
in queue.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Am I okay to go ahead?
You are.
Oh, okay. Can I change the subject to something that was touched on in the chat 2 weeks ago?
Yes, you can.
Okay. for people who weren't there, the chat 2 weeks ago was about communication and how the notary needs to be able to communicate directly with the client. And there was a little aside where you mentioned that there's some notaries who know ASL, and that helps them in communicating with the client who is hearing impaired or deaf and uses ASL. And I wanted to point out that there's a new section in the code. It's 18 NCAC 07B 800, which talks about accommodations for people who are speech, hearing, or visually impaired. And it goes into a lot of details about what accommodations can be used, how people can be qualified to do cart captioning or transliterating. And also based on a discussion that I had with one of the rule makers in the Secretary of State's office, it has a known error in it, where in section 801, it appears that all this stuff about accommodations only applies to remote acts. That was a mistake, and they accidentally put those words in because they were so busy doing all this REN rulemaking. The intent, and someday they will fix this, was that those provisions also apply to in-person acts. And one of the things that they point out several times and even give examples for is that you cannot use the accommodation as a workaround around language differences. For example, it says you can't have a cart if the client speaks Chinese and the notary only speaks English and they're hearing impaired, they can't bring in a cart captioner who knows both language, who switches the Chinese to English for the notary's benefit and the English to Chinese for the client's benefit. And then they give another example where German is the other language. I can't remember what the context is. So you can't use it as a workaround around the prohibition on different languages, but you can use it under circumstances following the rules for clients who have hearing, speech, or visual impairments. And unfortunately, if it's something that costs money, the state's not paying for it. It looks to me like the client has to pay for it unless the notary is super, super generous and they want to spend a whole lot of money, then they'd be getting paid for notarizing the signatures.
Thank you for that, Dave. Yes, that's important to know. Errors are made on the legislation level, and so hopefully it will be updated soon so it won't misguide anyone. But yes, when it comes to translations, we cannot use that as an alternative to communicate with a customer. We have to be able to understand them directly. They cannot use someone in their family to actually interpret or be able to speak English for them if they're speaking a second language that we don't understand. But if you are a notary that's bilingual and you are able to speak English and the second language to the customer, then you, the notary, have the ability to communicate with them. That is part of the provisions of how we can notarize for someone. We will have to say no if we cannot understand them directly and they can't understand us. So that is part of the rule. Thank you for that. Ms. Reese, you're next.
Yeah,
And thank you for your patience.
We can't point our finger at the legislature for this error. It's not in the statute, it's in the code. So it was the agency's error, and they're the ones who need to fix it.
Okay, so the administrative code, that would be straight to the Secretary of State. So thank you, Dave. All right. And Ms. Reese, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Well, statement and question. I heard you talking about the embossers and the stamps earlier. So are embossers still used? We can still use embossers? Okay.
You sure can.
Okay. Secondly, I had a customer who had very little room for me to stamp up under their name or what have you. So is there a certain amount of size that we're supposed to have stamps?
So there's only two when it comes to the size requirement. It cannot be less than 1.5 inches, and it cannot be greater than 2 inches.
Got it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, there are certain documents, if it's pre-printed, our stamp is okay to overlay that. What we can't overlay is our wet signature, anything that we are physically printing or for the customer. So we have to make sure that when we're depressing our stamp, it's not going to cover anything that we have actually signed in wet ink. So that's the provision. You just want to make sure, just like an MVR form, a lot of these motor vehicle registration forms are definitely hard to actually navigate an embosser or a stamp or the rectangular one. So whether it's circular or rectangular, you can work around it. If you have a rectangular one, you want to have it where it looks like a portrait size when it comes to you actually stamping on the border, close to the border. That's not going to encroach on any thick or wet ink. When it comes to the circular one, it's enough room for you to do the same. But again, you don't want to overlap it with anything of your wet ink so that it's easy to read. And that is something that the DMV recognize, and they will accept the form. So you don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I don't have any space. They've been using these documents for several decades, so they understand. And this is what you as a new notary will come across. So I'm just letting you know this is what you will expect to see. And it's okay for you to stamp over what's in writing because you can't get beyond that. Ms. Vicki, you had another statement?
Yeah. I want to follow up on what Dave just now said. I was at a signing just recently where the lady spoke very good English, but she had a speech impediment. Maybe she had a swollen jaw or something. So some of her words were kind of hard to understand, and she must have known this. So off and on, she switched over and was typing what she was saying on her phone. And I mean, she was understanding me fine, and I could understand her most of the time.
Okay.
But she used typing on a notepad as a communications back and forth to make sure that I understood what she was saying. So it worked out quite well.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Tanisha, you have your hands raised.
Yes, you just mentioning the DMV form just made me think about it. But if there is an out-of-state title for a vehicle that will be filed here, and there isn't the elements that we need to be able to notarize are not there on the title, the out-of-state title, is it okay for us to attach an acknowledgement or a to that? No.
So when it comes to an MVR form or a title from another state, not all state vehicle or certificate titles require a notarization. If the verbiage is not on there for a certificate, it does not need to be notarized.
Okay.
And they will never accept an attached document to that when it comes to a loose certificate. So yes, South Carolina is an example of a certificate title that doesn't require notarization. So if someone's transferring title from a South Carolina vehicle to a person here in North Carolina, all they have to do is sign over their signature and give the title to that buyer. The buyer would then just go to the DMV and actually have the transfer title in their name if they live here in North Carolina. There won't be any issues because it doesn't require notarization. If it was the other way around, yes, if a person from South Carolina is purchasing, because I had one, they were exchanging vehicles. There was a person in South Carolina and a person in North Carolina, and they both had a bill of sale as also. And when it came to them changing out their vehicles, which was so interesting to me, the person from South Carolina had to make sure the title that they were getting from the person from North Carolina, it required their signature to be notarized for the seller. And of course, now them going back to South Carolina to get that vehicle registered in their name, they can now actually move forward because it has been properly notarized by the seller, and they can actually take care of their affairs. But that is one of the things that a lot of notaries are not sure about. So anytime that someone presents a title, and some DMVs think, oh, well, they just need to get it notarized without seeing it. If it's from another state and there's not a notarial certificate on the document, then it does not require a notarization. Good question.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, man, time flies when you're having fun. It is now 7:31. Do we have any other questions or comments before we conclude tonight's meeting? Is there any questions in the chat that I may have missed? Yes,
Melinda,
Tara.
I just put up the citation for the standalone certificate language being required. It's in
I
the
appreciate
chat.
that, Dave. So again, I showed you guys how you can make a copy to download this for yourself on your own record. So you can go to where the chat is and it has a little down arrow. Now you can have that actually download as a file on your computer if you want to have access to everything that's in the chat, because this is great study notes and resources to keep with you as well. Miss Tara, you are next. You have your hand raised. You're on mute. So you want to go to the very top and unmute yourself on your screen.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all being here tonight. The information's been great. My question in the Q&A was, is there any big difference between the certificates on the Secretary of State's office versus the NNA site? I know the SOS probably has more, but I guess maybe more specifically to like the acknowledgements and jurats. Is there anything, yeah, like I said, like a big difference why you would use maybe one site versus the other?
Well, you have some people that spend more time with the NNA because of what they offer with the classes to become a certified signing agent, where they may not have put too much emphasis on our own state website. And when they see those certificates, they're not free. For one, you do have to pay for them. And again, with the NNA's reputation, they do a lot more exposure because they have the budget to do that for advertising. And the Secretary of State does not advertise on that level, because anytime you advertise, money is involved. So anyone that, again, wants to be a signing agent usually see the NNA come up when they're looking for how to become one, and all of their forms are on their site, but of course you have to pay for them. This is the reason why I am going over our site tonight for North Carolina, because of that misconception and not knowing that this is even available. So instead of spending money that you don't have to spend, this is where you get your free resources as a notary. And this is, again, something that you should have access to because you're an essential position as well as a public official. And there's no reason for us to have to purchase things like that to help the general public. So thank you for that question. But yes, this is the site that has everything that you're going to need for the state of North Carolina without having to go to another resource.
Gotcha. Thank you. Very helpful.
You're very welcome. So for those that don't know and may actually want to further your knowledge and your expertise, as well as build up more confidence and experience, we do have our first 2-day North Carolina Notary Basics Accelerated class that's going to be in Greensboro. Those classes are going to be either in Greensboro this year or online. January 23rd and 24th, we will have 16 documents that you will now have access to. That will be another resource that you can have and refer to for your business or for you just as a notary to be able to help others, because you have something you can look at and compare to kind of get you some confirmation of how you might need to move forward on those documents. The documents, we have over 1,000 documents you can think of that needs notarization, but these are the most common that notaries will come across. And again, the more that you are actively notarizing documents, you'll be able to relate the basics that you need to pay attention to every single time when it comes to the notarial language in the certificate that we need to really pay attention to. If a document has a lot of information. We are not worried about the content per se, but we do want to make sure there's no blanks that can actually be filled in after it's notarized. The last thing that should happen on any document when it's going to be notarized is us putting our stamp. That's the very last thing that should ever happen. Nothing should happen after the fact. Otherwise, it's considered altered. And so we don't know exactly what the customer is going to do with that paperwork, but we need to do our due diligence to make sure that we're meticulous when it comes to taking our notes and paying attention to any pages that may show there was blanks that you can identify. Yes, I did tell the customer they need to fill this in. I cannot notarize this document if it stays blank, so that you have done your job to convey to them. They have to put something in there. They can put NA, they can fill it out if they know what they need to add there, but we can't tell them what to put there. We just have to let them know we can't move forward with the notarization with it being blank. So again, unauthorized practice of law can be actually done very easily. And so our goal is to avoid being in that situation to violate the law, because we cannot advise. And anytime someone says, okay, so what do I put in there? You can't say, well, you can put NA if it's not applicable. That's giving advice. And now you're putting yourself in jeopardy because you're violating the unauthorized practice of law rule. So the goal is to always know how to share what you can and cannot do, and then direct them to the agency or the department that that document is going to go to for the help to answer that question that you cannot answer, all right, without getting yourself into possible trouble. So the goal is to always stay in a position of guarding yourself as well as the public that you're actually serving. We will have our next Tuesday Notary Tune-Up next Tuesday. Anyone that wants to actually see updated trainings and other opportunities that the NC Notary Coach, that's me, is offering, you can go to my websites, which is ncnotarytraining.education. I'll put that also in the chat so you can have that once you download everything. And this will help you be able to, again, stay on top of how you can position yourself to be great this year when it comes to all of the educational opportunities that are offered here for North Carolina. And I look forward to working with those that choose to actually, again, be able to join, whether in person or online. And also, if you want coaching, you may actually understand how to notarize these documents, but you may want to learn how to really master marketing and how to build your business when it comes to just visibility and understanding how to navigate in this space. I do one-on-one coaching, and I'm already booked for half of the year. My next availability will be in July through December. So you can also check out that site, which is my notary coaching site, and see exactly what that may help you if you're thinking about going that route. And again, if you have any questions because you just want to know what else I can help you with, then please do contact me either by phone, text, messenger. I am openly available for you to reach me. So, or I should say accessible. And once I'm available, I will definitely make sure I call you back, because that is who I am. I don't mind actually talking to you, sharing information to help you, because that's what I'm here for. Let me make sure I can't talk and type, so hold on. So let me do work with me. Okay. So the other one is in the chat as well. So again, if you want to actually download this, go to your chat at the top and press on that down arrow and find where it says copy to clipboard or save chat to file. I would encourage you to say save chat to file, and it will create a notepad document for you or CSV file for you. So that will help you, again, make sure you have everything that's in this chat, and it's something you can refer back to at a later time. So thank you guys for coming and making the first of the year amazing, because you showed up for yourselves, and always be learning. That is my mantra. So again, education is the greatest, knowledge is key. And the more you know, the more you can grow. So please do just take on everything you can to help the public. And I'm here for you guys. All right. So I hope you have a wonderful night.